Yeah, it's like really late at night or early in the morning, depending on how you sleep. Um, I've been sick for the last 2 months since I came this close to having a massive heart attack. And so I don't sleep the best anymore because I'm constantly thinking about things. If I only have so much time left, how do I allot that time to help as many people as possible? So it makes you think, it makes you wonder when you're as ill as I am. And you did 6 years of college and you had amazing careers helping people, and all of a sudden you're just bombarded physically um, and dismantled by disorder, and you wonder, who am I supposed to be helping? Because I have this huge education and I'm not able to help anyone anymore because hi Cindy, I'm so far away from a city that you can use me because I usually drive a 3-hour round trip circle to work when I work because I live in Podunk. So I don't get to help a whole lot of people. And I'm a huge music person because music is something that I used in therapy with a lot of the people I had in therapy. Music psychologically makes room for pain. Music is a powerful instrument in healing. Music is something that has always helped me heal, something I go to daily for healing. Um, and about the time that my career ended and I was just starting to make peace with having a terminal diagnosis, um, I watched Ryan go through the Katie Noel crap. And my heart broke for I saw the hurt. Saw the hurt, and I'd listened to his music and I'd been a fan, but I'd never really dug to know who he was or understand anything about him. And I can't sleep, Priscilla. So, about an hour ago, Ryan commented on one of my comments. And since I've been so distraught and worried, I've done some lives, but, my page is not the most exciting. I'm not the most exciting person. I understand that. I am an old, disabled, middle aged woman. I've raised my children. They're off doing their own things. And I craft and I talk about things that I enjoy that get me through my days when I'm struggling. And when I did that first video on the Katie Noel drama, what I wanted to do was help him understand the psychological gameplay that was mentally at work there. Um, and the reason I wanted to point it out was so that he wouldn't maybe find himself back in it. Because when something hurts, it's not like you want to go back and step in it again and make it hurt all over again. That's just, it doesn't make sense. So most people, like to learn and grow and make sure that they don't repeat mistakes. And then sometimes, depending on what kind of personality profile you have, it's very difficult to learn those lessons. It's very difficult to register all the information that you get from a misadventure or a dysfunctional relationship or just hurtful people in general. It's very difficult sometimes to process that information and put it to work for you as opposed to against you. It's that's one of the hardest things that people struggle with is how to understand, to turn the energy around to make life better instead of consistently the same or worse. Um, so I've been speaking out pretty vocally about the behavior in Creek Squad since about the Kylie Rodney case. Um, when we went from a family that helped each other and just talked about the music and how all the music had helped us and how much we loved Ryan's motivation to put out great music and motivation to do great things in his community and motivation to make time for everybody and I sat back and thought this is great, but when you open yourself up so much to other people and you offer so much of yourself, eventually it does create a resentment, because eventually when you try to put a boundary down after being such an open book, people get angry about that because they think that they are privy to your entire life, and they're not. But when you try to put a boundary down and say, hey guys, I can't do this anymore, I can't be this open book, and I can't give you access, unfettered to everything that I'm thinking, doing, every part of my world. There's some things I need to keep private. Some of Creek Squad got violent, like volatile, like angry that he put down a boundary. And I think he wanted to look into other things that interested him, and true crime just happened to be something that interested him, which I would advise anyone against the true crime community. They're toxic. It's the worst community on YouTube. It is like the most dysfunctional adults that all get together and try to solve nothing, but make as much money off solving nothing as possible. And it's just like, there's no functionality to their, there's no method to their madness. There's no end goal. And the motive is normally financial. And so I don't like the true crime community. And pair that toxicity with the toxic nature of the Callie Rodney case itself, that was a bad mojo just waiting to latch onto anyone. And Ryan did send me a message and asked me what I thought was going on. And I told him what I thought it was, and that it was not good. And he was invested at that point, and he went all in, and it created a lot of drama, and it created a lot of anger and animosity and aggression in the Creek Squad group, that started going to other pages like in a mob mentality to stand up for Ryan. Let me tell y'all, the last person I think needs anyone to stand up for him is Ryan Upchurch. I think the boy's got it under control. I mean, I think he can pretty much stand up for himself. He grew up and met, like most of us, in rural, poor areas, had a rough upbringing, had a rough life. Some stuff probably doesn't want to remember, but it's stuck in his brain. Half of my childhood was great, and the other half was like a horror movie, and I've had to make peace with it. And the more I learn about kind of the structure of his life, it mirrors the structure of my life. The fact that we share a birthday, that I'm just an older model, is kind of eerie on top of that, but it seems like we've lived a very similar life. I pick up on a lot of stuff because I was trained to pick up on a lot of stuff in my careers. And so I've noticed the shift in some of the presentation of himself to his fan base when he does videos and stuff. And I see that something is affecting him. And I'm concerned, because normally he is a very much, a water off a duck's back kind of guy. And I'm concerned. And I'm concerned because Ryan and Creek Squad have a very symbiotic relationship, which is like when one feels something, the other feels something. And Creek Squad has been nothing but violent here lately, and aggressive, hyper aggressive, and it concerns me because I don't follow him on all the social media platforms because I'm an older person and I'm sick a lot, and I just, most of my energy goes toward my health and my upkeep, my medical upkeep and physical therapy, and so I don't have a lot of time, but I can also feel a shift in the music itself too, and I felt that something was just not right since the Kylie Rodney case. And I've been trying to do everything I can, because normally when I do a video, he will check in and ping me, And I told him from the get-go, I'll always be honest. I'll always try to be super respectful when I say things, but I'll always be honest and true. And he hasn't been like around the channel for a while. Hi, everybody. I appreciate you popping in. I know it's late. He hadn't been around the channel for a while, and I was like, oh, well, I know I'm not the most entertaining or amusing person to watch, so I understand why he wouldn't pick up and check on me first. He's got all these reaction channels that affect him in a business manner, so why would he talk to someone who is worried about him personally? Because business is a priority for him, and I understand that. But tonight he actually did reply to a comment that I made on another channel. And I was making a lot of comments on that channel because that channel was raising a lot of stink. And I thought, well, where there's smoke, there's fire, and everyone will show up here eventually. So I left what I was feeling, what I was thinking, and I was honest, because there are certain things that I'm just honest. I can't lie. Like, if it will show on my face, it will come out of my mouth. I have no edit filter between my brain and my mouth. It just comes out. But I fought for him on some posts because the channel creator was like, he's crazy, he's crazy, he's crazy. And I'm like, no, he's not. He's not crazy. It is definitely one of those nights. Chris is definitely one of those nights. But I stressed, it's like, no, he's not he's not crazy. He's not crazy. He functions very differently, neurologically. His synaptic route is probably much, much more firing than most people's. It would be very interesting to see it mapped out. I'm one of those nerds. I'm sorry. I've always respected him because he's harnessed his ADHD and he's made it work for him. He's harnessed his rural podunk roots and made it work for him. He's harnessed his hardworking and poor raising and made it work for him. So when I see him struggle with something that he can't make work for him, I'm like, oh. And I feel bad because, well, none of us are great at everything. We all need help sometimes. So when I saw, especially the issue, the drama with Katie Noel, I thought, well, this is where I can help. I did the first kind of psych ramble. He responded. We've kind of had a tit for tat. We talked via video Insta one or two times. One time for quite a while, and then we kind of chit chatted about where we thought what we thought the Kylie Rodney case was. But I don't have unfettered access to him or anything. No, it's just when he wants to pick my brain, he picks my brain, and when he wants to pop in the channel, he pops in the channel, and I appreciate it. He's always been super sweet to me. But I feel if I owe the boy anything, and I call him a boy because I feel super old because my body's falling apart. But he's not much older than my son. I am an old person. I just started early in life, so but he reminds me a lot of my son. But when I saw him hurting, I stepped in. And I thought, maybe this is his problem spot, but it's not my problem spot. It's where I excel. So maybe I can help. And maybe I've always been honest but polite. I say what I think I need to say, but I try to say it in a way that it doesn't, I don't want to create animosity or hurts, but I do want to say, are you okay? Because this is what I'm saying. This concerns me. This is a red flag. I've been trained to pick up on this. And just to kind of remind him, there are people out there that send good energy to him just because he's a person. Not because he's famous, not because he makes good music, not just because he's a person. Just because if we saw anyone else hurting, we would do the same thing. And my entire life has been about helping people restructure their life to be productive, restructure the places where they are, have dysfunction, and move on. And yeah, I'm not working anymore, but I still know a lot of great people that do work in the field, and I could be an asset to maybe throw out some options or ideas, to kind of give him a safer place to vent than Instagram or all these other social media outlets. Because the sad thing is that he absolutely needs somebody to talk to, but who does he talk to? When you're scared that everyone that is using you for financial gain, or using you as a clickbait view, who do you talk to? How would we feel if we had no one we could trust to talk to? How would we feel if the person we thought was our best friend, or the person we thought that was our protector, was actually doing something to harm us, or doing something behind our back that was not okay, and they knew it wasn't okay with us? How would we handle that betrayal? And how would we feel if we walked through life and felt that everyone looking at us was ready to betray us for the right amount, for the right price? I can't imagine that. And I've got really, really, really famous friends. And I'll just tell you, one of my friends is Peter Freestone. He worked for 12 years with Freddie Mercury. He took care of Freddie until he passed. He's the kindest man I've ever met. And I've talked with him at length about the toxicity of fame and kind of the problems that it brought to light to him when he joined in. Because he was working at the Royal Ballet when Freddie was just like, I want to hire you. And I understand why Freddie hired him. The man is like walking Xanax. Like, if you get around him, you're just calm and happy. The man's amazing. He's amazing. Freddie was lucky to have him because he was a center, like a grounding rod. He brought the world to a standstill, a calm point. And he does that wherever he goes today. He's the same way. He walks into a room and you just immediately it's just, some people have that skill. Freddie was lucky to have him. He's one of the most beautiful people I've ever met. He wrote a beautiful letter for my granddaughter when she was born. It took forever to get here from Prague because he lives in Prague, but I got it the other day and read it and cried. I thought how kind of him to take time to write a letter to my little granddaughter about, I know you're being born in the hills and hollers of Tennessee, but someone halfway around the world rejoiced on the day you were born. You were loved beyond the hills, and I thought how wonderful. And I think about all the people that I can count on and all the people that I can trust. How would I feel if I didn't have that? Because Mr. Freestone, Peter, I call him Phoebe because Freddie called him Phoebe. So Phoebe has enlightened me about how toxic fame is and how people treat you like a thing. For you, it's your life. Your whole life is strung together by people's best moments in meeting you. So you want to be kind to people because that's their best moment. That's their happy spot. That's something that's big to them. That's something they're going to remember forever. But that's just another casual day for you. But your casual day is constantly interrupted by people's best moments, and you want to put on a smile and you want to meet everybody with happiness and laughter and make that a great moment. But my God, you can't work, at a level 10 max capacity, every day for other people that you don't even know. And yeah, it's great they're fans, but that doesn't give them unfettered access to just breach your barriers and walk up to you and ask for things in public. My God, the reason Phoebe and I became friends is because he had locked himself out of his hotel room when I was checking into the hotel at the convention center where a Queen convention was being held, and he was the speaker. And I was checking in, and he had lost his key. He had locked his key in his room or lost his key, and he was getting a new one. And he was like, "Oh, I locked myself out of my room." And I was mesmerized because it was the first time I'd met like anyone really that I had admired my entire life. And I was like, "You're a world traveler. You should know better than that," And he's like, "I really should by now. I really should." And he got a kick out of my accent, and he was like, he was, "Where are you from?" And the normal spiel. And I got checked in about the same time they handed him his key, and he said, "Well, it was nice to meet you. Would you like to sit and talk?" And I looked at my watch, and I was like, "Heck no. It's just 1:30. This shindig don't start till 3. You go rest. Betty, you took a 29-hour flight to get here. You go rest. I'll catch you this evening." And he looked at me and he said, "Thank you." And I was like, "You're welcome." To me, I don't clock into work until I clock into work. And if you ask me about work before I clock into work, I'm going to be a butthole. So I wasn't going to make him work before he had to work because that was his job. And he wasn't required to do it until the timing of the event started. So I wasn't about to take his time. My God, he just traveled halfway around the world. Go take a nap, go rest, go watch some TV, just chill. That's what I would have wanted to do. And as a reward, he pulled me to his dinner table that night. And we started talking. We didn't talk about Queen. We didn't talk about Freddie. We just talked about life and funny crap. And I got to know him a little bit. And we just struck up this really weird friendship. And at the end of the weekend of the convention, he was like, "I sent you a Facebook friendship request, but don't tell because I don't do this for everybody." And I thought he was just being kind to me. I was like, "Sure, you did. That's sweet of you to say that." I was ready to go home and be like, "Great weekend, life go, man. I'm good." He had sent me a Facebook friend request. He keeps up with me more on Insta because he has a bigger presence on Instagram. But we video call, we video chat. He's in Prague, so he always calls like 8 or 9 in the morning here, which drives my husband batty because my husband works late nights. But he's a sweetheart. If I'm ever in the hospital, he'll call and check on me. He has enlightened me as to how dehumanizing sometimes fame can be. And so when I try to speak about Ryan, I try to speak about him as a human being. I try to think about him as just another regular person that may be experiencing something that he may need help with. I'm very proud of him. I'm proud he's from our area. I'm proud that we can claim such a musical genius and a lyrical genius. But I'm also, because of my work, being a retired parole officer and counselor, and I dealt with very violent offenders that like to try to hide information, misconstrue what they were telling you verbally, mix you up. You really had to pay attention to nonverbal body language communication that was not coming out of their mouth, it was coming from the rest of their body. I had to learn a lot about body language and nonverbal cues. And so since the Kiely Rodni case, I've picked up on a lot of stressors, aggression, a lot of stuff that was, while Ryan does kind of do these cycles, which we all do to a certain extent, but he does them kind of on a more grandiose scale. I picked up that he was, every time we would hit this cycle, it was amping up. And it really amped up with the Kiely Rodni situation. And I was concerned at some of the aggression he showed, though I understood his frustration, which the frustration is, I can understand that. I can understand being upset and frustrated that you can't speak your mind. You can't have an opinion. They won't allow you an opinion, or they try to assign a larger blame to your opinion when you're a celebrity. And you have basically the same impact on the world, So I don't know why people think that an opinion from a celebrity is different than an opinion from anyone else. It's an opinion. But I picked up on a lot of aggression that was just not normal, not consistent. Normally, like I said, he's a water off a duck's back kind of guy. And then we got into the Tam Fam positivity, and I tried to watch that a few times, and while I really, really wanted to enjoy it, and I really do enjoy Miss Patty. Miss Patty's a sweetie pie. She's never been anything but nice to me. But I couldn't, I don't know, every time I saw a link for the Tam Fam positivity meeting, it always turned on like a rag fest against somebody that had said something online or contradicted a thought pattern and it was just like, why are you focusing on these minuscule things when I'm sure you have a lot of positive things to talk about? Why are we talking about, if this is positivity time, let's talk about positive things, like the good things that happened today, the good people we met, the people that made us smile. Let's not get on here and say I want to be positive, but first let me drag this individual. And it was very difficult. It was very difficult to watch sometimes. Hi Dusty, hi Christy. And so I kind of faded off on that because I wanted to support them, because I thought, if we're creating positivity, that's great. But every time I got into the chat room, it was normally not positive. Like there was always a beef going on, and I was like, that's just exhausting. And I have to really conserve my energy. That's exhausting. And so I withdrew from that. I thought that was really weird, because Miss Patty has a very kind, timid soul. What I'm picking up on. But she has a very fierce side, mama bear side to her as well. But she really wants people to like her. And she really wants to have an outlet, and to impact others, which is great. That's great. We should all want to impact the world in a positive way. But it just, I don't know. It seemed like, I've watched a few of her stuff now that since she's doing it on her own, and I like it much more. Because it seemed like when she was with someone else, she kind of, I don't know, instead of like their energies meeting in the middle or someone else's energy coming over to her side to meet, it was she always going to their side to meet. And I thought that's not right, because it should be a meet in the middle. Or if you're using her to get views, you should go toward her side of the thing. And so I didn't quite understand that. But now since she's doing it on her own, I enjoy just getting her perspective and her viewpoint and her share of what she enjoys and clothing and the jewelry. I like that stuff. I like to thrift. But I noticed that nobody had been happy for a while. Distracted, deflecting with positive things that were happening in life, yes, but happy, I hadn't seen a whole lot of happiness. I hadn't seen a whole lot of just random happiness. And when I did see post and Instagram, what are they called? Reels on Instagram, is that what they're called? I'm so old. A lot of them were not anything that made my day better. So I know if they're not making my day better by watching them, they're not making Ryan's day better by making them. You know? And then I was seeing a lot of, when the Q&As would start, there would be a lot of people that were trying to egg on internet beefs, which I thought was stupid. When you see somebody in a really unhappy place, why would you push them to remember that or ask them for more of that? Well, because it's entertainment value to you, and I just don't. No, you shouldn't use people for entertainment. I know that, if they offer themselves up to be a rock star or country music star, that's one thing. But when you just use regular everyday people for entertainment, it's like, that's not good. But they were like trying to prod him into going back into really going over these things aggressively. And he has every right to look at true crime cases and post his opinion and be frustrated with how the searches and the investigations are going, just like everyone else. But it got taken to such a toxic level, and people were really manipulating the situation to make money, and I got really sick of it. I got really sick of it. The true crime community is not a community I enjoy. We're all confused. I know. And so here's my thing. I just got a comment a little over an hour ago from Ryan on one of my comments, and I went on Martin Speaks channel because Martin's been doing a lot of controversial statements about Creek Squad. And while I will absolutely stand up and say, Creek Squad, you're going crazy. Y'all going crazy. Y'all get mean, mad, like a chihuahua that ain't been pet in 3 months, but doesn't know now he's becoming different to being pet, and he's just mad at everybody. I mean, Creek Squad's getting kind of crazy. It's a mob mentality, and I will state that here, and I will stand on it. That's what I believe. That's my perception. That's what I believe. Now, do I think all of Creek Squad are like that? No. We have good, solid, soft earth people in Creek Squad. That's the foundation. But right now, we're kind of being inundated by this minority of people that are like mob, pitchfork, get the fire. We're going after this person mentality. And it's very unbecoming, because Creek Squad is normally a very positive, family motivated, positive intervention or interaction based group of people. And so we normally do not act like this. And so here lately, it's just been like, what? And a lot of y'all have been voicing your concern as well to me, but you don't want to say it out loud because you're afraid you'll make somebody mad. Well, I don't care to make people mad. Put people in prison. I make people mad all the time. But we have to talk about it. If we don't talk about it, it's not going to change. And so I put a comment because Martin's been very disillusioned with Creek Squad, and I can understand that. Now, do I agree with everything Martin says? No. But he does every once in a while have some really good points. And he had some really good points the other night. And I've done a couple of videos about it. But today he went through like the catalog of Ryan's videos. And it's just bound and determined to think that the boy is on substances. Do I think no? No. He talks about THC and shrooms. And I'm sorry, but as a parole officer that has worked with hardcore street drugs and cartels funneling drugs, I'm not really worried about THC and shrooms. We got some bigger fish to fry. I was concerned when he spoke about the Adderall because I didn't think he was using it in a consistent pharmaceutical prescribed, keep a functional level in your body appropriate manner, but that's between him and his physician, and he's old enough to take care of that. I just voiced my concern about it because the young creekers need to know that that is a very dangerous chemical. If you don't use it correctly, it can create issues in your brain, your chemical issues, and change your personality. It's very dangerous unless used appropriately, monitored, and maintained the dosage and the level in your system. It has to be maintained and monitored by a physician so that you don't screw up your chemicals up here, because you will screw them up. So, that was kind of my, okay, kids, he has he has verbalized that he has ADHD, so therefore he has a reason. This is probably prescribed. But just make sure that you're using it correctly, and children, don't misuse it because it's dangerous. And that was just kind of like, I'm not a doctor, but I'm just here to say you should only use that under doctor's care, and you need to talk to the doctor about it. And if you're not using it as prescribed, you need to be speaking to your physician because it can screw up your brain. Go talk to a doctor. Now, I used to counsel people, and I used to have to do medication referrals for people that needed medication referrals. I am somebody that always tries to never go the medication route because I believe that retraining yourself is much more conducive to success. But I also understand that there are certain places in life and certain issues that some people deal with that they require a little bit of aid. So I have no malice toward anybody that requires any aid like that. Just, talk to your doctor, make sure that you're using it appropriately, and understand the side effects if it's going to be used inappropriately. Just be aware. Just be aware. We've got a bunch of little eyes and little ears watching us older Creek Squad, and we need to leave a positive and informative, good, solid role model for them, and I don't like what I'm seeing from some of the people that are just very aggressive and verbally abusive to other people. It's just really nasty. I mean, you can call me pretty much anything, and it only hurts if you spell it correctly, but there are some people on the internet that are just kids looking at this stuff, and I don't want them thinking this is normal, this is how we behave, my idol behaves like this, so I'm going to behave like this. No, we've all got to check ourselves because we got people watching us that are very young, and we're responsible for them. People are blocking what we say. I don't, well, I think that a lot of the good Creek Squad have been kind of blanketed by the bad. And it's putting a very bad perspective out there. And music, yes. I have a disorder, and so some days I walk well, and some days I drag my left leg. Some days I have difficulty making certain words, doing certain hand movements. Y'all saw me have a flare in my hand earlier in last week. It was useless for about 3 days. I get that. I understand that too. And I don't have a concern about him. And like I've said in previous videos, he is responsible for so many people. He employs and maintains the lives of so many people. If he were really having problems, there would be more breakdowns going on. There would be much more talk and much more, many more people upset because, life would have really come to a halt for a lot of people that rely upon him. So I'm not like super concerned about that. I am just concerned about, we've hit this circle, this cyclical life pattern to where we're doing the same thing over and over again, and it's getting more and more aggressive each time, and we're not laying down the lessons, writing down the lessons so that we step out of this. And so that instead of doing this, we start to do this, and then this, and then this, and eventually life goes better. So, it's just small little changes can help a lot. Retraining how we respond, what we choose to respond to, what we choose to ingest mentally and emotionally, how we choose to respond to others. Sometimes the perspective that we have when people come at us, we have to look at it from different vantage points so that we don't always react emotionally, but we react logically, and respond in a controlled and appropriate manner. a lot of it is finding a routine that works for you and understanding when you own the routine or when the routine's owning you, and making sure to write down which is which, and to avoid the routine that owns you and to make work for you the routine that you own. Um, because lots of times we fall into these bad behaviors, these bad decision making, these bad coping skills, we just fall into bad habits because it's too hard to fight them. It's easier to distract, it's easier to ignore, it's easier to walk away from them. And I couldn't be famous. I couldn't. I couldn't. I had a super hard career. I had super highly emotional jobs that caused a lot of damage to a lot of other people that tried to have the jobs that I've had. I compartmentalize like nobody else's business. Sometimes it's a bad thing, but yeah, I was pretty bulletproof there for a while. I'm not anymore. And of course, now I have this neuromuscular disorder, and it's attacking my organs, and now my heart's getting. I'm foobarred. I'm foobarred. Foobarred. Now, when I kick it, y'all know I last as long as I could because I'm belligerent too. So, good Lord can call me home, but I will be late for dinner. That's just how I am. But we do. We do music. You're great. You said I think it's because we also can fall quickly when we're getting attention. Our heads get filled with air sometimes. That's it. And a lot of what I've been seeing, because Ryan has such a symbiotic relationship with Creek Squad, is that they respond when he's hyper emotional. They respond a lot. And so his highest engagement is when he's going through the biggest amounts of shit, which is like reinforcing that the shit is good. It's beneficial. No, it's not. I don't care if the engagement's high. They're coming to see you in emotional distress. That's not good. That's not good. It's entertainment. You are entertainment for them when you're hyper emotional. That's not good. And people that do that, you suck. Because that's not a good place to put anybody. Can you imagine that if you had friends that only engaged when you were in dire consequences, and then they sat on your couch and went, no, I just really enjoy this. Keep crying. Oh, yeah, seriously. Can I tape this? Okay. How would we respond to that? Not well. I wouldn't. I'd be like, get your sorry butt out of my home. Don't you ever come back. So I saw a lot of Creek Squad really kind of try to perpetuate this because it's entertainment value to them. And I'm like, no, this is a person. This is a person struggling, hurting. What the heck are you doing? It blows my mind that people care so little about other people, and they care even less about celebrities that they idolize and mimic and imitate, but at the end of the day, they treat like absolute crap. What a head trip if you're famous that must be. And then to wonder why people latch onto you. Oh my God, what do they want from me? Are they really a true friend? Are they coming at me with positive reasons? Or are they just trying to use me or manipulate me? I could not be famous. I could not be famous. But if I was famous, I would have a working circle of professionals that had some mega bulletproof contracts that I had really gone through many attorneys to create. I would never employ a friend, and I would have very strong barriers and boundaries with my friends when it came to expectations of how much of my fame you thought you were going to cash in on. I would be a pain in the butt because here's the thing: if I want your friendship, I want your friendship. I don't want to have to bait you, buy you, entice you. I want your friendship. And if I had to sit here and wonder why people knock on my front door, because I ain't got two pennies, I ain't got two nickels called squirrel. That's why I'm paying medical bills, and they're going to be on my Christmas card list for a long time. We're going to get to know each other for a long time because I'm poor. They wanted to put me in collections the other day for David's ER bill we've been paying on every month for over a year now. And I said, I'm a turnip. You can't get blood out of those things, right? It's like, you can take me to court, but when the judge sees that you fraudulently billed for some stuff and overbilled for other things, you take me to court. Sounds good. I might get it thrown out. Go ahead. Well, they hung up real quick and decided they didn't want to do that. But can you imagine Can you imagine not ever knowing why somebody was interested in you? Good grief. You know, yeah, obviously, I'm an old woman. The one time that we did chit chat video, Insta chit chat. He had to tell me how to do it because I didn't know how to do it, which he thought was funny. I had on penguin pajamas and looked like crap, but if the boy needed to talk about something, I was there for him. And I don't care if I look like trash, homeless. If you need to talk, I'm here. And I try to do that for all my friends, especially when I'm in a healthier place. I've not been in the best of health lately. But I've been kind of reserving my energy since this heart issue I had back in December because I've seen the struggle. I've seen the body language. I've seen the adapters he's using in his body language in his Instagram videos to his fans, and I knew something was brewing. Something that was really squishing his heart and hurting him was brewing. And I started trying to do videos. And while I understand and realize at one avenue it's none of my business, I also realize that he's put a lot of stuff out on public, you know, domain. So he's kind of made it everybody's business. But I'm here to tell him that my childhood story is very similar to his. Even with court stuff, it's very similar to his. It's very strange that we share the same birthday and we've had like the same life story. But I get it on so many different levels. And then to have gone to school to correct a lot of what I went through and to learn to understand it from a different perspective and to learn to understand the psychological basis behind or the neurological basis behind behaviors and understand the chemical and hormonal inclinations that are in there as well. I get it on so many levels. I get it. And when he worries me, I'm going to say, yo, I'm worried. I'm worried. I'm worried because I care about him. I have high expectations. He's capable of really owning country music. He's capable of it. And I want to always be proud of him and to always brag on him and to always be like, yo, he's a Tennessee boy. That's what comes from our neck of the woods. I'm proud of that. And the last few months, I've not been proud of that. And that hurt because I do genuinely want him to have the best life possible. And I've been just concerned. And so he left a statement. He was like, I'm confused. All I've been doing is making music and working. I'm confused. I understand why he would say that. And I understand why he would see it that way. Because those are the things that he's been focused on. Because everything else that's kind of fallen apart, it's hard to look at. So he's looking at what he's been doing right. He's been working and making music, and he does those things right. The boy works his butt off, and he makes damn good music. But there's room for growth, and there's definitely a need for change. Happiness is not a priority, and it doesn't seem to happen a lot. And there has to be changes made to make sure that while you're chasing your dreams and you're living this amazing life, that you enjoy it and that you find people that are worthy of your friendship, not because you're famous, but because you're human. And every human deserves to find their ride or dies. My God, where would we all be without our best friends? Healthy boundaries, learn how to do that. It hurts, especially when you're someone that likes to really divulge yourself to everyone and show everyone that you love them. It's hurtful sometimes to put a boundary or a barrier up against people that you really think are family or that you owe something to or that you're so bonded with on this level that you don't want to feel like you're closing them off. But you have to close them off because you have to have a private life. And you have to have time to just be you. And you have to have time to sit down and breathe and be a normal human being, because a persona only goes so far. And you have to hang that persona up like a coat at night and walk into your home and be a person. Because that person is who you're going to live as and live with the rest of your life. Not the persona. The persona will fade, change, alter, grow, diminish, just depending on the ups and downs of the music industry and the fan base. But your person is who you have to sit alone with in your golden years and talk to. I want you to really like the person you're stuck with in your golden years, because I want you to have happy golden years. I want you to be satisfied with the life that you made and the legacy that you made. And it's going to take some retraining, and it's going to take some hard work, and it's going to take some understanding why we go to such a defensive posturing mechanism, and why when the crap hits the fan, you seem to not see it splatter everywhere and get on everyone. I know you see it. You need to talk about it. I mean, you go to work after that and you try to deflect and distract, and you put out really good music, but you shouldn't have to go through hell to make good music. You shouldn't have to. Oh yeah, I think if social media would just like die for like 2-3 years, society would straighten right out. We forget that interpersonal relationships are much more important than these stupid little screen relationships. We forget that there are real people over there. We just see people as projections of, like, a hologram, non-human entities, but we're not. Everyone that you see in this little box has a life, has a heart, has a brain, has a soul, has a struggle, has successes, has losses, and the way we interact impacts them. And I am petitioning that Creek Squad get back to the positive side of things. I am petitioning that the people in Creek Squad that enjoy seeing Ryan in such a struggle, shut your mouths for a little while. Learn to embrace the music and the good times and stop feeding off this drama crap, because it's not beneficial for anyone. Stop giving him his highest engagement when he's struggling. Stop confusing him. Let's engage the highest when his music is the best and he's happiest. We can help retrain, We can help sell, but we engage more when you're calm and you're happy. And that's when we like to engage. Right now, it's when he's upset. Yeah, Dusty, wouldn't that be nice? We could get back to like the good, hardworking people that ain't scared of a day's work and don't mind helping their neighbor and don't mind walking up and shaking hands and making a friend, and don't see people as just manipulations or numbers or stats to make a buck on a platform that basically eradicates the human soul. Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be great? And so I know probably when Ryan responded to me, about an hour or two ago, he was confused. It probably hurt him. And I don't set out to hurt him. I don't set out to disrespect him, but I always do set out to be honest. And I am concerned. I don't think any of the crazy rumors are true. I do have a concern about a couple of things that he said. But all I can do is have a concern. He's an adult, But the one thing I really, if he's not willing to talk about it, the one thing I will share here if he watches this video is pull back for a while. Pull back and focus on you. Your fans don't deserve your entire life. Your fans don't deserve to suck the happiness and the fun and the moments of enamor that we all need to keep us in love with life. You know, it's sure he's famous, he's got a lot of money, but his bubble shrinks the more famous he gets. So in many ways, he's a prisoner and we're not. I hope he read my comment that I responded, Martin, as well. I don't know if he will or not. Most of the time he stumbles back and talks to me, but the last few months he's not been very responsive. And I get it. I'm not super interesting. I understand. I'm not super interesting. I am normal, like plain cornbread normal. I'm normal. So, but I hope he does read it, because there is a minority that's still there in Creekswell that are good, solid people that are saying, hey, you're hurting. And we've backed away and shut up because we're like, oh, dude, like, you need time to fix this. But we're also watching a lot of the newbies come up and be like, oh, he's hurting. Poke the bear to cause this, leave this, antagonize him with this, instigate him with that. Y'all, he's a human being. If you wouldn't want it to happen to you, don't do it to someone else. And I get that there are internet bullies. Don't become a bully trying to stop the bullies, because then you're just the bully. And, you know, it's just like, you know, how do bullies start? Well, they get bullied. So bullies beget bullies. And normally the people that go after bullies turn into a bully, and it just turns into a bully fest. So normally I try to go after people with logic, rationale, and love. And if they're indifferent to that, I just, okay, then I choose where I put my energy and I move on to find someone else that's going to be a better place for my energy to go. So I really hope that he understands there's still really, yeah, don't be Jimmy. I really hope he understands that there are some great people out there, you know. And speaking of which, don't be Jimmy, that's what I meant too when I said that I had seen some similar behaviors. Because when Ryan would get on those rants and some of those panels and get really verbally abusive, it was almost like it was like a psychobabble parallel universe. And I was like, no, 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 Ryan, don't trip over into this. Like, whoa, you know. And it concerned me because he didn't normally do that. And so I was like, what's going on? That was just, ooh, that was a bit much for me. And it concerned me. It concerned me. And it hurt me to write that, because I was like, it's the truth, but I just really hate to say this, but it's the truth, because I thought it was something he needed to read to go, oh crap, is that how I was projecting? Go and watch it again, watch it, and then watch some of Psycho's crap. And yeah, it's very parallel. It's very like, you know, we had to hitch up a 6-horse team. Y'all be the 2 lead horses, because y'all are just about matched perfectly when you get mad. It was scary. Yeah, and Ryan normally is not in that headspace, Martin. He's not normally in that headspace. And so that's why I'm trying to be such a little ambassador for him, to kind of, hey, yo, we're here. And while we know you're wading through some crap, there's a few of us trying to shovel it out of your way. But you seem to be only responding to the people that are, you know, putting more poop in your way. And it's just, you know, what are you focusing on? Where's your heart? Where's your mind? Where's your energy? Where's your light? Where's it being placed? Where's it being put? Who's it being put with? Are they receptive, or is it causing you harm? What's going on? And I know that for the most part, a lot of his issues deal with trust, because obviously fame, trust, those two things just never quite meet each other in the middle. But I think there's more going on. And I don't have a great baseline. I see what he edits and what he puts on the internet, and for the most part, you know, that is kind of who he is. But I've also spoken with the much quiet, softer version of him. So I don't have a great baseline to go on. I would like to have a better baseline so that I could make a better decision about how I feel about it, and maybe give him some better guidance as to maybe how to improve what he's struggling with. I don't know if he'll respond. I don't know if he wants help from me. I don't, you know, I'm no longer working. I'm no longer billing insurance and sitting behind a desk and seeing, you know, pushing out 100 and something clinical hours a week. But I'm not practicing, but I'm still a friend that has great advice and a lot of knowledge crammed in here that somebody might as well get use out of because it ain't doing diddly for me anymore. And you know, if he needs that, I'm here. Don't want nothing in return, and nothing will be ever said about whatever is spoken between us. And I'd probably never ever make another Ryan video, to be quite honest. It would just, I would feel not right making one after he had trusted me with certain information, so I would probably never make another one. But I'm worried about him. And I'm an old woman with a neuromuscular disorder that ain't got many I ain't got many years above ground left. So if I'm gonna be worried about somebody, I'm gonna be worried about somebody. And if I want to help them, I'm gonna focus on helping them. And come hell or high water, I'm gonna do it because what you gonna do, fuss at me? Well, you can come fuss in my grave because I ain't gonna be here much longer. But while I'm here, I'm gonna try to make good impacts on people. I'm gonna try to help people that I see struggling. And I'm going to try to help the people that have helped me. And Ryan's music helped me when I was in a lot of pain and dealing with a lot of hospitalizations. That music would get my adrenaline going, get my endorphin rush going, and help me through a lot of hard times, especially when I had long hospitalizations, long bouts of boredom, when my family couldn't visit because I was 2.5 hours away in a hospital for a week, week and a half. That was my home base. That was my touch of home. That was my return to sanity. That was how I stayed consistently in my world and took a little bit of home with me every time I had to have one of those horrible hospitalizations. He helped me. I'm willing to return the favor. So I hope he sees this. I know he's confused, and I know that he probably thought that was a very hurtful statement. I didn't mean it to be a hurtful statement. I meant it to be an honest statement. Sometimes honesty sucks, like G4 suckage. Sometimes honesty sucks. But I think it's time the social media kind of gets put to the side. And if Ryan wants to see a reflection of himself, instead of watching his reels for the day, he looks in the mirror and he starts talking to somebody, maybe in a professional setting. They can help him through some of these emotional roller coasters. Because I'm telling you what, these loop-de-loops are getting heck on me. I'm old. These celebrity loop-de-loops they're rough on me. You know, they're rough on me. They take a toll on me, especially when I do feel attached to the person that is struggling, that I see struggling. So maybe he'll see this. It's not my intention to hurt him. I don't ever want to hurt him. But who would I be if I wasn't honest with him? I would just be another one of the fans that are blowing smoke up his butt. That were using him for entertainment value. That's why I'm not monetized. I talk about things that there should never be financial incentive behind. Because you would wonder about my motivation. Like when I watched that Gobble thing stream yesterday, which he's mad at me now. He's been removing my comments. That kind of irritated me, but whatever. But I watched that whole thing thinking possibly that he was in the right mind frame of caring. Because there were certain things that I thought, okay, he really cares. Okay, he really cares. There were certain phrasings, and I thought, okay. And I've never watched a live stream from him. I've never checked his channel, never watched a live stream. I've had viewers of mine send me clips and say, you need to watch this. I've watched the clips, but I've never watched the whole stream. So I just couldn't sleep last night, and I clicked on it when I saw that he went live. And I don't know what possessed me because I never would have. Never in my life would have, but I did. And there was great dialogue going on in the chat section. Like the fans were really talking some good dialogue. Hi, Denise. But the fans were really talking some great dialogue. And I was really invested in that. And then I saw that little 2-minute display of gotcha. And had that guy not brought up the money issue, we would have all probably watched that stream thinking that, there wasn't a twist in the story. I was disheartened when I saw that. I was like, oh. So you're not doing this out of love or concern. You've already gotten your money, and now you just need to squeeze the rest of the cream out of the tit, right? We just making sure we're not leaving any behind. We're going to squeeze all 4 of them suckers. And I felt really disheartened. Because I think there was some genuine aid trying to be passed around. Even though it was like the most volatile beginning of the situation, like none of it was healthy on either side. But I thought at the end that he had definitely been introduced to a better life with better circumstances, and that he was making a much more productive stamp with his life in society. I thought Johnny was doing much better, and I wished him well. I don't wish ill on anybody, but it disheartened me to see the laughter and the ha ha ha, I got away with something when they spoke about the money. Because friendship should never be about money. It shouldn't ever be about money. And if you are friends with somebody, you wouldn't keep money they gave you and put back for litigation issues. So while I would never have clicked on a live, I'm very glad I clicked on that one and saw that. And I made that video at 3 a.m. last night, and in one of the text box, I made a horrible autocorrect issue, but I don't even care. I published it anyway because y'all needed to see that, because he's playing both sides with a Cash App tab on the screen. I don't know about y'all, but I just don't want to be an organ grinder's monkey. I don't want to do whatever dance is going to pay me the best. And I don't want to turn a camera on me and say what will bring in the most money, because money's great. You know, it softens the blow, let me tell you. But one day I got to stand before Jesus. Now that's the big picture, y'all. That's the big picture. Yeah, I wish he'd go back to comedy too. Like, he's got the best sense of humor. Martin, he's struggling. He's struggling. I hope he reaches out too. Because, yeah, eventually, if you stay in this mindset for a while, the harder it is to get out of. And it will devour him. And it's hard because everybody is, you know, this whole negativity little mob of Creek Squatters is really crashing and burning the family vibe and the positivity vibe of Creek Squad. And as that diminishes, I see his light diminish as well, because they have a very close relationship with Creek Squad and Ryan. And I'm worried about him. And I want him to be happy and healthy. He has beautiful creative spirit. Dusty, it's absolutely correct. He's too beautiful for this world to do what they're doing to him. But to be quite honest, all beautiful things in the world, it's like everything goes after the crush. I mean, they just want to crush it. If it's beautiful, if it's giving light, if it's giving comfort, if it's doing positive things, they just want to crush it. We're in the most foobar generation that the planet has ever seen. You know, we've got people that get up and spend 4.5 hours on makeup to make a 13-minute video, and they think they've done an honest day's work. And when I was 5 years old, I was chopping, and hanging tobacco, planting the tobacco before that, working 2 or 3 broiler houses that had 21,000 plus chickens in them, taking care of a team of Belgians and draft mules, and I herded beef cattle, and then I'd go to school. I did that from before kindergarten all the way through my high school years. And everybody wondered, well, why weren't you ever in trouble? Buddy, when you get up at 4 a.m. and go tend 3 chicken houses and 2 farms of animals before you go to school, you're too tired to get into crap. You just don't have the energy for it. We don't have people that know what honest work is anymore. And so when I see somebody that is honest, whether it's in music, in their statements, in the lessons they bring to their platform, they go to tear that honesty down, because our society cannot deal with honesty anymore. No, hate is the new cash. Hate is the new Tinder. It is the new thing that's passed around that brings you the most. Hate. It's the new bartering system, hate. Yep. Dusty, that's a great one. Hitchhike is one that I really like too. Because sometimes you do need to say I'm untouchable. And when you see negativity, that's okay. I'm gonna detach, go over here, and I'll get where I'm going on my own. Don't ride the hate. Do not ride the hate. And but and everybody's like, oh, he's a star, he's famous, he'll get through this, he's strong. I get all that, but he's also just a human being, and he's hurting, and he doesn't have a lot of the outlets that we have, because while he is super famous, that just shrinks some opportunities, such as honest friendships and people to turn to. So he's in a conundrum right now, and I just hope that I can help in some way. Oh yeah, the YouTube platform has turned absolutely tar pit toxic. It's pathetic. I just watch people now, and I'm like, there's not a diagnosis code in the DSMV for you. Just to be quite honest, I'm like, okay. Oh yeah, I need to pull my psych stuff out and be like, what the crap is wrong with this person? Because there's some stuff that I'm just like, wow, that's a new one on me, And I dealt with violent people with trauma and addiction backgrounds and murderers. And I see people on social media that I think have fewer social skills than the murderers I supervised. Y'all, that says something. That says something. At least I can have a conversation with the murderers I supervised. You can't have a conversation with these people on social media. They don't know how to talk to anybody but themselves, because they talk to cameras all day long. It just boggles my mind. We're making a new list. So the diagnostic manual is great, and they updated it about 5-6 years ago. They've not updated it since, though. I expect an update very soon with all of the new, like the autogynephilia and all the new philias they're trying to place in there. I expect an update very soon to add all of this new age crap in there. But there were just parts of it I would read and I'd be like, oh, okay. They took that a bit far. Somebody just needs a switch cut. But, the world is falling apart. It's not what it used to be. The quality of people are not what they used to be. And the sad thing is that the people that are the quality that are going to save this world, save society, are too daggum nice to talk up. It's like, how are you going to say, you're just going to watch the world crash and burn because you're kind and compassionate? You do know that being kind and compassionate also means you don't want to watch your fellow man die these horrendous deaths at mob hands because of hate and animosity that's spreading over because of ignorance and stupidity and intolerance. So because you are the salt of the earth and you're kind, you think you can't get into the battle. You can. You just battle in kind, compassionate ways. And you put your voice out there. And eventually, because what happens when you keep hearing a story, or you keep hearing something that the government wants to make normal, they just keep saying it, and eventually it becomes normal. Y'all, keep talking about normal crap, about normal life, about normal people, about normal love. It'll get normal again. Just keep talking about it. Stop being quiet. Be loud for all the right reasons. Right now we're being loud for all the wrong reasons, and it's very detrimental to society. Oh yeah, it's wedge music. They make us fight against each other because it's wedge animosity. So if they break up what could be a very large sum of people, then they have smaller battles that they can absolutely win. But if we would all stop being little tribes and realize that we're all one person mad at the same issues, we would be much more effective. Martin, you want to do a live stream with me one night? Who I think Jimmy actually is. I think when Jimmy lost his son, he needed to blame somebody, and because Jimmy's son and idol was Ryan, and his son had spoken to Ryan, and Ryan's words had kept him sober for six months, and then Jimmy's son relapsed and lost his battle against addiction. I think Jimmy needed to blame somebody. I think he blamed Ryan. Because obviously Ryan had the power to help him. Why wouldn't Ryan help him again? Well, Ryan is only one person, and he has how many millions of fans? The boy can't be everywhere at every time. The boy is not God. But it's so much easier to blame someone else than to look at the house we set up, the home we created, the either happiness or discord we created within our home, and to see kind of the nature versus nurture. What did I add to this or take away from that helped create the need for my child to seek out these things? And sometimes kids just, you raise them right and they still go sour. It happens. My family is not always plush. We're having some hella big issues right now, and it's just like, I've had health issues, and I've been like, stop it. You're not bringing this crap to me right now when I'm hurting. I almost had a heart attack. I have been very sick since December, and you want to start shit now? No. You go throw your mud pies over there, get your anger out, and when you calm down and when I feel better, we'll talk about it. But no, you're on my time. No, my health is more important. You're on my timetable. So take your piss fit, go over there and have it, leave me alone. We'll deal with this when I feel better. Do not bring something to me and think you're going to break me the rest of the way down. We'll deal with it when I can deal with it and we can actually create a plan of attack. But don't come and think that while I'm weak, you're going to roll me. Not that weak. But I think a lot of fans do that. Jimmy is Psychobabble rap. Is it Psychobabble rap? Transference and projection is a big deal. Yeah, Martin, that's a lot of why Jimmy's upset. Yeah, I just broke the matrix on Jimmy for you, didn't I? Yeah. So he has to blame someone. He's got a lot of animosity and aggression built up, and a lot of it's toward himself, but he's not allowed himself to feel that, to unleash that upon himself so he can start healing. For him, it's easier if he places it somewhere else, and he keeps that hate, because that hate is more comfortable than his hurt. And it's going to take a lot of hurt for him to get through losing his son. It's going to suck. It's going to suck. He's going to need good people around him, and he's going to have to feel the guilt, shame, go through everything, blame himself, blame other people, and go through all the confusion and, oh my God, what did I do? What did I not do? Is it my fault? Is it not my fault? He has to go through all those grief levels, bounce back and forth. It's painful. It hurts. And right now, it's easier and more comfortable for him to hate someone else and blame them, so he doesn't have to deal with that. But one day he will have to deal with it. But the longer he puts it off, the harder it's going to be. Because the longer we delay grieving, then the harder the process is on us emotionally. So he's hurting. He's a man in a lot of hurt. And most people that have like a lot of defensive posturing, they do it because they're terrified. A pig, you back into a wild hog, a pig. And I used to do a lot of hog hunting. You back a 400+ pound hog into a corner, he's going to stick that tail up, start popping that head, popping that jaws, and tell you I'm fixing to hurt you. Until then, he'll run because he doesn't want to engage. He won't engage, and he won't turn nasty until you put him in a corner, and he has to. Jimmy's son's death put him in a corner, and he's not figured out he needs to run and go and deal with it himself instead of looking at everybody else as the problem. Addiction is a difficult one for parents because they always want to blame someone else. Always. But addiction is a behavior that is inflicted upon oneself by oneself, and it's always a personal choice. And it's hard for a lot of people to swallow. They want to blame it on so many things. But at the end of the day, it is a personal choice. And that's why it can be retrained in a really quick manner. And it takes about 3 months for every year that someone's addicted to a substance. It takes about 3 months to get them back on track. So that's the average. And it takes sometimes up to 7 to 14 times of rehab to get somebody into, a great mind to be rehabilitated. So never give up on an addict, because, but don't kill to them or give them everything. Never give them money. Offer them help finding beds, and tell them that you love them, but that you cannot enable them. And you have to have very good boundaries. And but it takes roughly 3 months per every year to get their mind, body, chemical, hormonal panels back to square one, to where they're functioning as the human body should. So it's scary for some people, because some people have been addicts for 10, 15, 20 years. They're like, oh my God, that's another chunk of my life I've got to struggle. Yeah, but it'll be worth it. It'll be worth it. You're worth every bit of hard work. Nobody, wants to say that to themselves because they don't believe it. But every human being walking the face of the earth, you're worth every bit of hard work it takes to keep you healthy, keep you happy, and have a life worth living. Yeah, a lot of parents don't realize they enable the addiction until the addiction has taken their child. And then when they have that realization, they really crumble, or they become really, really hostile, because they don't want to then divulge into it further and handle the emotions. Yeah, you got to want to get better. They have to want it. That's why rehabilitation takes so many attempts. They have to want to be there, and they have to want to apply the knowledge that they gain, and they have to want to make that change. And it's sad when you watch people that you can see them get clean and you can see them shine, and then you see them relapse, and you're like, why would you ever choose this version of you over the version that walked in here 2 weeks ago? But they don't see that. They have a lot of dysmorphic views of themselves, and they have a lot of trauma that they're hiding, and they have a lot of trauma that they're sedating within. And it's just sad. I really need to write a book. No, I've met some interesting people. I had a one-armed murderer once, and they brought him to me double shackled, and they chained him to the floor because they had to do a libel, which was he had a discretionary. He attacked somebody and hurt them in his pod. I sat there and looked at him, and he was a murderer, and I was reading his case notes. And he was uncomfortable because the way they had to shackle him, and the way they had to put the chains on him, it rubbed against the nub of the nub of an arm he had left. And I said, unchain him from the floor. I said, I'll be okay in here. And they're like, you want to be in this room alone with him? I'm like, look, he's still got his little, heel leg chains, and I'll be fine. Take that off the floor. It's pulling on his shoulder, and that shoulder can't feel good, so take it off of him. You got a two-way mirror. You'll see me if I'm in trouble. Just pay attention. And so I had him take the shackle, that because they had him bolted to the floor. He was not a good person. And he said, why'd you do that? I said, you looked uncomfortable. And he said, aren't you scared? And I said, not to be rude, but I've had 600-pound wild Russian boar run at me. Not sure where you'd fit into like the top 10, but that big old boar is probably number one. So I don't think you're going to top that anytime soon. And he kind of laughed. And I said, I got some questions for you. And I said, you got one arm. How in the crap did you murder somebody with one arm? I mean, I was like, how did you do this? You have to be really skilled with that one arm. Did you like hit him really hard once and it just like was, oops, I hit him too hard and in the wrong spot and boom, he's gone? And it turned out, no, he had done an uppercut knife up the rib and through the lung. But anyway, and he told me flat out what he did. And we sat there and talked, and I was like, I just, when somebody comes at me with one arm, I'm kind of thinking, what can they do? I said, but I guess if you had a knife yet, I guess you could do something, And he was like, well, I didn't want to be put in that position, but I got put in that position. And he said, I made a bad decision. He said, but, he said, I have an angry, but he's like, I have an angry vibe to me. And he's like, I don't always respond pleasantly. He said, I lost my arm when I was very young. And he said, people have never been nice to me. And I said, no, I'd say not. I said, but have you been nice to yourself? And his eyes just kind of was like, I said, because people normally give you, what you're giving off, they give it back. So if you don't love yourself, a lot of people aren't going to love you. And if you don't respect yourself, a lot of people aren't respect you. And if you're not kind to yourself, other people are not going to be kind to you. And he was like, crap. And he was like, man, 57, I'm going to have a breakdown right here. And I was like, I make people cry a lot. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make you cry. I said, I'm just, it takes some dedication to kill somebody with one arm. I'm thinking maybe if you'd put that much dedication somewhere else, you wouldn't be sitting here. You'd have quite a different life. And at the end, he thought I was there to like see if he was parole eligible because I was a parole officer. But I also did the prison reports when there was assaults in the prisons. And so he didn't know why I was there. I was just interviewing him and getting information, telling him it was for paperwork. And he was like, I'll do anything if you just put me on your caseload. If you'll let me out of here, I'll do anything. I won't be a problem. I will never go back to my old ways. I will do anything. And I was like, anything? I was like, you're promising anything to me right now. Anything. You will find a way to do it. Anything. And he's like, anything. And I was such a little turd. I went, okay, clap. And he goes, eh. So I actually had a really good conversation with that man. He did actually get paroled 2 years later, and he's out doing well. So maybe it impacted him. I don't know. He's not creatively taking anyone else off the planet with one arm. So maybe we had a successful moment there. But I'm still like, the man impressed me, not because he just took somebody off the planet with one arm, but he impressed me because he sat there and when something hit him, he actually shared his emotions and showed me that it hit him. And he had lived 57 years on this planet hating himself because of his deformity. And basically that just gave everyone else around him the right to hate him. Because if you don't love yourself, nobody else is going to love you. Our worth is dictated by what we think our worth is, not what others think our worth is. Yeah, but he didn't understand that. And that's why he spent, a third of his life in prison. So, but I've had a really weird life. I've seen and done things that other people probably would not want to see or do. Murder scenes are not my favorite things. Murder PSIs, pre-sentence investigations, are not my favorite things to write. Going into somebody's house after everything and having to look up to the ceiling and tell them very quietly and very, very respectfully that I know that you can't smell it, but your house still stinks and you need to do an enzyme wash on your ceiling because there's still brain matter on your ceiling. Those are words I've had to say to people. So I've had a very, I had a very tough job at times, and I still wake up at 2 and 3 a.m. with autopsy photos. When one door opens that I shut that door, I compartmentalize really well. But if it ever opens, if my health is very low, or I'm very sick, or I'm dreaming a lot because I'm very sick, then I will wake up with autopsy photos just popping back up in my head. I bury those suckers and lock the door and they pop back up. So, even as much as I know and as emotionally sound as I think I am, I screw up and still have stuff like that bug me. So, we just need to work on ourselves daily and make sure that we have good support systems and make sure that we have good, truthful, honest friendships, make sure that we have great people around us. And I think that is the biggest puzzle piece missing for Ryan right now, because everyone around him is in a questionable status as to why they're around him, what they want from him. And he's sick of people wanting the wrong things, which I fully support. But once you identify the problem, you then have to create a plan to change the problem. And I don't see that happening. I see a lot of distraction, deflection, and a lot of Stuart from Mad TV, look what I can do, but I see nothing of the let me create some sound decisions so that I don't end up repeating this again, because we've been in this cycle for a while now. And I would just like to help him find someone to maybe create a plan of attack for a healthier standpoint, a healthier viewpoint, a healthier emotional attack on life. And maybe to rectify some of the bridges that he thinks have been burned, that were just charred a little bit and needs to go back, be revisited. Um, but everyone on the planet deserves to be happy. If you're sucking air, you deserve to be happy. And if you're sucking air and you're not happy, you have the ability to change it and be happy. So, um, yeah, I'm gonna try. I hope that he goes back to my channel and watches some of the videos. I hope that he questions some of the things that I've questioned and that people in the comments have yet said, yes, I've seen that too. I hope he looks at it with a healthy mindset, open mindset, and understands it comes from a place of love and concern. But the biggest part is I hope that, you know, he doesn't have to get help from me. I would like for him to reach out to somebody that could help him. And if he needs help finding somebody, you know, I'm down to play that role as well. I just want him to be healthy, happy, and balanced. And that is what he's not doing very well right now. Dusty, I think he's met good people. I just think the lifestyle he leads is not conducive for relationships to. It's hard for relationships to grow when you're in a world that he's in. You know, because he's kind of, you know, it sounds really bad, but he's kind of like a zoo animal for a lot of people. They look at him as he's a zoo animal, and he's not. And they don't think he's deserving of respect and time. I mean, he goes to an AutoZone store and gets held up because people want pictures and autographs. How many of us has needed like a tail light or a windshield wiper, and we've got 5 minutes to get where we're going, and we got to have it because it's going to storm on the way home, and we don't have time, and then, you know, or we go into the Quickie Mart to get a Gatorade and a Reese Peasy because we don't have time for lunch, and we just need to get that, get out, get back to work because we've got 5 minutes. We got to clock back in. Then we get find somebody playing a lottery for 30 freaking minutes, and they're disrespecting our time. And we get mad, and they're not even, you know, their energy isn't even pointed at us. So imagine being in that scenario and having that person's energy pointed at you, and they're specifically trying to take your time, and they are making it your problem. I couldn't be famous. I would be the most, get out of my way, leave me alone. I'm not on the clock. I would be the worst famous person in the world because I would be like, I'm sorry, I'm not her today. I'm just me. So not doing that today. The boundaries I would have would be pretty substantial. And I probably wouldn't, you know, my fan base would be like, okay, don't approach her unless she's in costume and ready to be, you know, because I just, you know, it's not healthy to have to play a role every moment of every day, you know. And people say, oh, he's not playing a role. That's how he is. I guarantee the people that know him know a much lower key version of him that requires downtime, requires quiet time, requires a little bit more tender, loving care than the bravado side that he shows and the persona side that he shows on his social media. He has, that's his persona. There's a person under there as well. And while they may be very similar, the person requires a much, much reduced level of interaction and energy and emotion. And, you know, you can't live in that. You can't live at a 9.5 out of 10 every day of your life. There are days you need to have a 1 or a 2 so you can like let your body catch up and your brain defrag and just kind of breathe. And I don't think he's getting time to breathe. And I think a lot of that is the unhealthy expectations he places upon himself to meet his fans' needs when his fans' needs are unrealistic and not healthy sometimes. So I hope he sees this and just kind of thinks about things. But I'm getting tired now, so I'm going to have to shut up. I need to talk to you. Only example is me going to Ethiopia years ago. wanting to braid. Hey, that's a sign of respect. Like when you go to another nation and they share their culture with you and like the things that they do and they place those things on you. Like if you go to a powwow with my Lenape tribe, my Cherokee Lenape tribe, and they give you beads or they give you a buckskin shirt or they give you a shaker wristband and they say when everybody's dancing shake your shaker, that's a major sign of respect that they are sharing their culture with you, which means they're bringing you into the fold. Everyone now wants to talk about cultural appropriation. There is no such thing. The only thing that we can have where we like something so much that we also want to try it, mimic it, imitate it, that's called cultural appreciation. And I am never mad when I see somebody that wants to be an Indian for Halloween. Doesn't bother me at all. I'm like, you go for it, little boy, because you're going to have an interest there. And one day you're going to start reading and you're going to understand more about that topic. And it's going to have you're going to have a healthy appetite to learn about these things. You go, you be that little Indian for Halloween. Go at it, buddy. Yeah, it doesn't bother me at all. you know, and I see everybody else being so grumpy, and I'm like, no, you can either only appreciate someone or deny them the ability to appreciate your culture. And I think a lot of cultures want to deny people the ability to appreciate a culture because they're like, this is my dog, you can't pet it. And I'm so not into people like that. So not into people like that. Oh yeah, all the touching would be a bit of shock. Yeah, it would, because you would be such a rarity to them. It would be like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And that's probably very close to like a first time celebrity emotional experience because you just don't feel like you have any boundaries or any power over what people look at you and see or choose to do sometimes. And because you think that you are in a particular role to them, you think you have to be extra kind, so you allow them to get away with things that you wouldn't allow other people to get away with. So, yeah. But I will say that was kindness that they were showing you, but yeah, they probably could have done it in a better way. Yeah, that would probably, yeah, you probably kind of feel like a rock star. Can you imagine how intoxicating, but at the same time self deprecating that is? Like, all these people love me, but can you get your hands off my body, please? Boundaries. This is my no no square. It's like it's so many mixed signals at once. It's like, and oh my gosh, if you've got any like, sensitivity or stimuli issues, woo, you're on a trip then. So boundaries are great things. So I say fences are great things, and boundaries are fences in our brains and in our world, and you've got to have those fences in your social world as well as your physical world. They're great things. They make for great neighbors. Screaming pineapples. Oh my goodness. Well, I think maybe I can lay down and sleep now. I wanted to, yeah, those healthy boundaries, they're great. I just wanted to put something up in case he was up and either wanted to watch, get an idea of what I was meaning, or because he expressed confusion, I wanted to come on here and do some clarification and talk a little bit. I wish him no ill will. I want to see him be the healthiest, happiest, most awesome Tennessean to make the best music ever. But I know something's not right. I pick up. I'm a freaking. I'm a sponge. I'm a freaking empath. But at the same time, I've been trained with all these extra little tidbits to look at body language, nonverbal cues, and how people use their body as adapters when they're communicating. How to understand when they're hiding stuff, having emotional memory, or creating a storyline. I know all these things, and I've worked in a career with deceptive people for so long. And I don't think he's trying to be deceptive, but I think he's not addressed certain hurts that are going on inside, and it's just built up and built up and built up, and now we need some major Drano to get it all out. And so I'm just hoping that maybe if no one else can help him, if he like will give me just a little bit of time to talk to him, ask him some questions, and to maybe get a better baseline so that I could get him linked up or referred to some professionals that could really do wonders for him. Because yeah, I want him to have the most amazing life possible. You know, he does so much to help other people. I want to help him. Crazy schedule. My schedule's been, I just couldn't sleep, and Ryan commented on a comment, and I didn't want to leave. He was confused. He expressed confusion on the comment, and I didn't want to leave him super confused, so I made this video. So obviously I'm not after like, you know, likes and stuff because I look like homeless trash right now. But like I said, after I had that heart attack, I almost had a massive heart attack. I had a heart issue, and I was super sick. But when I saw something that worried me, I dragged my super sick butt after having a heart issue up and did like 2 lives in a week discussing it, because that's how concerned I was about him. So obviously I care beyond my own well-being sometimes. But I want him to know that, you know, there are people here that do see him as a person, as a human being first. And yeah, you got some really good Creek squatters that have some really good wisdom, and you've got some Creek squatters that are just really antagonistic little turds. And I hope that he leans toward the ones with wisdom. And even though sometimes what they may need to say may be hard to hear, I hope that he listens with an open heart and challenges himself to create a change. And sit down and write down what I don't want to go through again, what I've experienced 2, 3, 4, 5 times that I don't want to experience again. And then how do I stop experiencing this? What are the indicators that tell me this is happening? Okay, now that I know the indicators that tell me this is happening, you know, how do I avoid this indicator? How do I know if this indicator is showing up in my life? You know, and you just create a plan of attack to very slowly, piece by piece, backtrack and follow the trail backwards until you see where it started. And sometimes it takes a while, and sometimes being honest enough to answer the questions takes a while. But you know, I think that he's honest enough to answer the questions. I just think that right now he's more concerned with his portrayal online of, I'm handling this. I'm a big boy. I can do this. I'm dealing with this shit. See, I'm not having fun. I'm rocking it. But we all know distraction. You're not handling the sadness, the emotional issues. You gotta handle this crap, or it just, when it wraps back around, it brings everything you left on the last time and all the new stuff. It just, your bucket gets filled up. So it's time to empty the bucket. Stop packing it around. Martin, he's actually a really sweet guy, and you were getting enough people to come to you to be mean that I knew that he would show up eventually, because he'd be like, what, you know, why am I getting messages about this channel? I knew people were sending messages about your channel. And so I thought, well, if he's not checking on me anymore, I'm just going to put it where I know he'll see it. And sure enough, he responded to me, and he was confused, because I think he felt that was the first time I was not super, super supportive. But the thing is I am super, super supportive. But I'm not going to ride the roller coaster with you. And if I see the roller coaster about to hurt you, I'm going to ask you not to get on the roller coaster. And we need to talk about the roller coaster. So that's just kind of where I was. And I needed to leave that message for him and then pop up here and just explain it. When he expressed confusion, I was like, okay, I'm not sleeping, so let me just get up and explain it. I feel like crap warmed over tonight, actually. I'm not feeling good, so I'm hoping tomorrow's better. But we'll see. I wanted to do a live tonight. I just didn't feel like it, and here I am up at 3 a.m., so hopefully I have a better schedule tomorrow. But yeah, I always offer honesty, but as respectfully as possible. But now I am super upset with Creek Squad. and the little minions, the little flying monkeys that are going around really trying to keep crap stirred up, or really trying to portray Creek Squad and Ryan as this toxic. It's not. And if you go back pre Kylie Rodney and pre Katie Noel, it was a family. It was a family of good, solid people that loved each other, helped each other, looked for people to help, looked for people that needed aid, did fundraisers, did great things. And somewhere along the line, it changed into a mob mentality. And I think it was when all the reaction channels started and people started realizing if they showed hate to him, they would get everybody over there going, no, 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 he's really not this, he's really not. And then Creep Squad got tired of going, no, 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 he's really, you need to listen more. You need to, they got the ones that had the short attention spans got tired of saying, no, you need to listen more. Look at this song, and they got tired of trying to explain it and just started morphing into little turds. But at the same time, a lot of Ryan's videos, even the old ones, when he's doing his little funny rant stuff, if you don't watch them in context, you would think, what the heck is going on with this guy? And so if you don't have a lot of the context around it, or you don't know the time frame and where he was in life when he did that, it kind of, you would be like, there's something wrong with this boy. But if you followed him and kind of know the whole story and have watched everything in context and in the timeline, it makes sense. But now I will say that since the Kylie Rodney case, something wasn't right. Something was not right. It was not right. That was not the Ryan that I knew. That was not the Ryan that I had watched. That was not the social persona and expression of self that I had grown accustomed to from him. While he can be a little shit from time to time, and I enjoy that sometimes, because every once in a while you need to be a shit. But when he really got hyper aggressive there for a while, I was like, no. And then he asked me via message on Instagram what I thought this was all about, the Kylie Rodney stuff, and I told him, and I was like, told him what I thought it was and to back away from it. It was not going to be good. And it just makes me wonder if something about that case, because that between Summer Wells and Kylie Rodney, there has been more toxic, like evil spread across this nation. I don't know what it is. It's just like a blackness taking over. And you can see it very prominently on YouTube and in the personalities on YouTube. People are like, I had this one lady, she was trying to wanted me on a panel to talk about epigenetics again, and I was like, I'm not doing another panel. You people are, if I do a panel, then you think you own me. I'm not doing any more panels. And she got mad at me, and she was like, well, you don't deserve to be on my channel anyway, because people pay money to see me. They pay money to join my membership to watch me and see what I say. And I was like, yeah, and I pay money for toilet paper, and do you know what I do with that? So just because they pay money for you does not mean you're special, okay? But, people got really toxic after all of that with the Summer Wells and the Kylie Rodney case. They got really toxic, and YouTube just shifted. But after the Kylie Rodney case, it shifted massively, and it was just like a plague spread over YouTube. And it was just bad, And sometimes if you open up the curiosity door, I'm an Appalachian, we have superstitions, deal with it. You're just going to hear what I have to say. Sometimes when you open the curiosity door, you welcome certain things in, whether you put the welcome mat out and said, okay, come on into my world or not. You opened the door and you were curious, something came in. And I'm from Appalachia, where we're super, super superstitious. So, to me, when I see something like that, I'm like, nope, block the door, whip out some sage, and talk to my ancestors and clear it all up. And, pray that night to, the good Lord above to protect me, because, there are bad things, bad mojo. And our nation has really, really knelt before evil lately and been little submissive Sally to hatred and bigotry and intolerance. And the sad thing is they've done it all in the name of tolerance. And it's just like they can't see their own hate. They're blinded. But it's just, there's just been this evil spread across our nation, and I'm sick of it. Sick of it. Sick of it. And so I guess until they put me in the ground from all this health crap I've got, I'm just going to keep talking about it. I mean, what are they going to do? Put me in the ground quicker? I'm headed there anyway. I mean, so, I'm going to talk about it because it's nasty. Like the chief executive staff that Biden appointed today, do you know that he fundraised and financially supported and was invested in a lot of healthcare people that had to settle out of court due to fraudulent Medicare and Medicaid billing? Do you know he got a lot of. Go watch Russell Brand's video on that today. The people that are in charge of our nation, I would trust a 3-year-old way more, way more. I would trust my dog in charge way more. Let's be honest. But, we've got to where the world is backwards. Hate is celebrated, and if you offer kindness, it's attacked. And the sad thing is the people that are the ones that acknowledge that it's wrong, they're the ones that can fix it, but they're too scared to speak up because somebody might hate them. Well, if you're a nasty piece of crap, you can hate me because you're not bringing anything good to the world. So I don't want you to stand any closer to me. I don't want you. No. If you're that hateful person, hate me. Great boundary. You hate me, boundary line, go away. And I'm going to talk and try to reach out to the other good people. But the good people are just so scared to speak up right now. Somebody might hate me. Well, newsflash, they hate everybody. They hate themselves. That's why they behave like this. If they hate you, that's great. Use it as a boundary and move on and talk to the other good people. Talk to the positive people. Our positive voices need to be heard as loudly as the negative voices. Like all these protests going on. Do you want to know why I've never protested my life? Because I've worked my butt off. When you have to get up at 5 to deal with farm animals, or you have to get up at 5 to drive an hour and a half to work because you live in Podunk and have to drive a 3-hour loop every day, or you get up because your husband works odd hours and he's been working 14-hour shifts, and you get up early to make him an early breakfast so he can go check his trap lines and do his second job so he can go to his first job. You're busy. You're busy taking care of yourself and making sure that you are taking care of you and that no one else is. The government isn't. Your mom and daddy isn't. You are. We got a whole generation or two of people that have been taken care of that never paid a bill, but they've got these great ideas how they're going to make the world fiscally responsible, but they've never paid a bill. And it's just time to call out stupid. It's just time and you don't have to do it in a mean way. Just when they start spouting all of this great wisdom they have, and what's your basis? What's your life experience? Tell me where you learned that. And just historical context is a big one because they have none. And we've just got to be more positive. We've got to start to make the world a better place again. And it became a worse place because good people shut up. It will become a better place if good people start talking. It's all about who's making the most noise. It's not about violence. It's not about physical altercations. It's just who's making the most noise. Who is controlling and dictating the dialogue and the energy behind the dialogue. And right now, the good people are being silent, quiet, because they're terrified. They're terrified because of cancel culture, because of the internet. Boo-hoo, somebody doesn't like you. There's only 150 million people in the U.S. Find another buddy. How many people are there worldwide? How many billion? Find another buddy. When one person hates me, I'm like, one down, 25 to go. Small county, Don't get disheartened when people are disgusted with you. They're allowed to feel that emotion. And if they're disgusted, move on to the next. You just learn that your energy is not appreciated there and it's not going to go to good use. Go to the next one. So I don't mind when people show me the emotions that I don't enjoy. It just tells me that's not where my energy needs to go. But your energy needs to be out there. Because if it's not, then all we hear is the bad. All we hear is one voice, one tone, one mindset, and it's just not healthy. We've got to have good people speak up again. So never shut up. But do it in a nice way, but never shut up. Never shut up. So, okay, I'm going to shut up now, though. So I'm going to go back to bed. I'm tired. I'm going to get me a Gatorade and go back to bed. I am getting better, but antibiotics kick my butt. Y'all know the antibiotics and my neuromuscular disorder and the issues in my digestive system. It just creates it's like the holy trifecta of mother of storms. So I'm not doing it like I don't have a lot of energy and I'm just really lethargic, but I will be back uh, feeling better soon. So just hang in there with me and we'll get back to more constant content as soon as possible. Mothman. I had a shirt that had bat wings and I used to pull it up to my kids and go, I am Mothman. And they would crack up. That was way back when they were tiny. Um, I had a weird life. But my kids are good old school, adults. Like both my kids are old souls. So I did a good job. Okay, so go be productive, go be kind, but be firm and express yourself appropriately, respectfully, and let's change the momentum that's going on the internet because it sucks out there. Let's make it better and let's be positive and let's really override the negative Crease Squad comments on everything and let's try to bring kindness back. And let's let them know that Creek Squad is a positive family. It's not a hate diatribe. No, it's not the sisterhood of the traveling hate. I don't know, but we've got to get it back because I think if we can get Creek Squad to where it's positive again and enjoying Ryan when he's in a positive state, Ryan will also feel that, and I think they feed off each other. I think he'll end up back in a better state where he's in a better headspace to deal with some stuff that's going on. But I want him to deal with it because I want him healthy and happy and ready to go on to the next big thing that life has for him. I don't want him to be stuck in this. And I think right now he's stuck in a mud hole with a sandy bottom and he just can't get no traction. So, but what he doesn't realize is he's got a whole lot of people that get behind him and push if he needed it. So, line up and let him know you care about him and that you see the changes and you don't enjoy them, but you hurt for him and you want to help him if you can. So that's what I'm going to end on. Y'all have a good night. I'm going to bed. Thanks, Martin, for hanging in with me. I appreciate it. And I'll try to see you tomorrow if I can stay awake long enough to do a live. Bye, guys.